Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Saturday Morning Comic Review. I am your host, Ellen Wallace. Today, we got a great issue for you guys. A bunch we're going to talk about today. So we have our polls, of course, for this week. We got our polls for next week. We got 10 books that we're going to review. Actually, all the books that I'm reviewing this week are all things that came out this week. There's one, I think, that's left over that I'll have for an Omega run moving forward. But other than that, it's just going to be all recent and relevant stuff. But before we get into that, I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the previews that we have coming up. So I looked through everything that was June previews. I think they're coming out in September. There's really only two things on there that I saw. If you guys will recall, I'm in this era or this phase of trying to pare down the number of polls that I have. And in order to do that, a lot of the books that I'm reading aren't falling off the poll list. And subsequently, I'm like, okay, maybe we just got to go ahead and skip a couple weeks of preview or months of previews, and then maybe even get to the point where we start dropping some books. I know I mentioned it on some Omegas before. I think I mentioned it on last Saturday's issue as well. So for the previews, there are only two that I really picked out, and that was Kryptonite Spectrum, which I might have mentioned on the previous issue, but looking through it, the other one that was a standout to me is Ultimate Hawkeye. So checking that out just to see what that's all about, as the Ultimate Universe is beginning to wrap up as we're getting towards the conclusion here, or at least we're a couple of months out anyways from the Maker making his appearance finally. So I thought that would be a good one to catch up. But with that, and I teased it on some of the Omegas, I have elected to stop some series as well. I was just thinking about the backlogs in particular. Those books that I haven't even gotten to yet, or I've started reading them, but another issue comes, and it starts building up. Those are ones where I was like, okay, if I'm interested and want to read it, I can always just pick it up on, Marvel Unlimited or DC, what have you, a couple months after the release. So I'm like, who am I trying to kid? Who am I trying to prove myself to? I have no idea. So it's like, let's just go ahead and stop them. And then if we want to pick them back up, sure, we can always pick them back up. I've said that. The thing is, with the shop and the system that they use, when you stop it, you get one more issue on top of that. So it may take a couple of weeks, if not a month or so, before we actually see the effect of these things being dropped off. But I did do the whole process and make sure that we dropped them. So that will be coming up. And those books are Phoenix, Storm, Uncanny X-Men, Exceptional X-Men, and then on the Ultimate side, I actually stopped Ultimate Black Panther and Ultimate X-Men, and then Free Planet as well. So those are the books stopped for now. Again, if I want to pick them back up, I can always do so. But I found for the most part, Uncanny X-Men just truly was not enjoying. Exceptional X-Men was fine, but it wasn't like over the top or anything like that. Phoenix was okay. Storm has been okay. Black Panther and Ultimate X-Men have just gotten more and more confusing. And the story has been long in the tooth for really both of them at this point for me. And Free Planet, the first one I didn't enjoy. I have a feeling the second one I'm not going to enjoy. So that's me just more or less hedging my bets on those. But the other ones I stopped from the last Saturday issue, I think I mentioned Rat City as well, was another one. And I think there's another one too, but I just can't remember off the top of my head. So we'll see those winding down over the next several weeks or months. So now the bad news is out of the way. Let's go ahead and jump into the polls for this week. I go over to the screen here, make sure we got OBS up. Polls this week, not too bad. A very manageable week, 14 books in total, which is excellent. That's pretty much the sweet spot of where I want to be. So I know for some of the poll weeks, I basically start going through and saying like, here's a backlog, here is what I'm reviewing on the show. I think it's easier if I just call out just the backlogs or an Omega run, because pretty much I'm reviewing everything at it that's on this poll list. So we'll go through it real quick. If you don't hear me say something about it, assume that I'm reviewing it for this week. So we have Absolute Batman number 9, Death of the Silver Surfer number 1, Exceptional X-Men number 10. That is a backlog, and like I said, I'm dropping that one. Free Planet number 2, I'm going to do on the Omega and dropping that one. Then we have Green Lantern Corp number 5, Magic number 6. I think I mentioned that I'm dropping that one. If I didn't, I do plan to. No, I didn't write it down. I'll probably be dropping that one as well. I don't even think I've gotten to the first one yet on that particular run, but that is a backlog. New Champions number 6, One World Under Doom number 5, Phoenix number 12 is a backlog and dropping that. Sister Imperator number 4, I think it was delayed. It wasn't at the shop, but number 3 was delayed, so no surprise there. I would be dropping that one. It's been fine, but number 4 is the last issue anyways, so even if I dropped it, it still would have been, for me to pick up either way. Then Transformers 21, and then Ultimate Black Panther 17, which I mentioned I'm dropping. Ultimate X-Men number 16, I mentioned I'm dropping. And then lastly, World Tree number 15. So those are the books that we have. Again, 14 or so. The one that's not on here, that was actually a book listed in League as the previous week, but it didn't show up to shops until this week, was Resurrection Man. So that'll be included as well. And that's going to round out basically the 10 books that we have to review. So before we get into those reviews, just looking at the picks of the week thus far, this is the craziest week that I've seen, where everyone by far and away is all for Absolute Batman. 43%. I don't think I've seen a 40. I've seen high 30s, and those are pretty rare. To be in the 40s is absolutely insane, and it's only increased since the book has come out. It was like 41, I think, on Wednesday, and here we are Friday where I'm recording. Obviously live now on Saturday, and it's at 43%, which is nuts. Next book is Death of Silver Surfer number 1 at 6%, which I have and will be reviewing. Batman Dark Patterns, I haven't picked that up, but I've only seen good things. It's usually on this list, so that may be something I have to get in trades. Transformers 21 has 5% of the vote, and then Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 9 has 4% of the vote. So we got 3 out of the 5, which is pretty good. Always like to have at least a majority of the books that were pulled for the week. So yeah, with that, I think could probably go ahead and get into our reviews here. Let's go and switch over to the main camera feed, and let's hop right into it. So again, 10 books in total here. I'll read them off for the audio listeners. We'll review them in this order. Death of the Silver Surfer number 1. This is my favorite cover. If you're an audio listener, go look it up. The egg cover on this is incredible. You have Silver Surfer on his board, but it's like a red line. On the top, it's like dark with the moon, and underneath, it's all cloudy and white with like almost a black moon, but it looks like a yin and yang symbol. Incredible. By far and away, the pick of the week. I literally picked up this book because of the cover. And you're not supposed to, I know, shop based on covers, but I did anyways. They got me on this one. I'm not going to lie. But next up we have World Tree, number 15, Absolute Batman, number 9, New Champions, number 6, One World Under Doom, number 5, Resurrection Man, Quantum Karma, number 3, Green Lantern Corp, number 5, Ultimate X-Men, number 16, Ultimate Black Panther, number 17, and then we'll close it out with Transformers 21. So those will be the 10 books that we're looking at for today. We'll start off with Death of Silver Surfer. So this book, I'm kind of surprised. It is not at all about what I thought it was going to be. So I gave it a 4 and League gave it a 3.7. And I saw the votes on League show up first before I read it. This is like the second to last book that I read today, but I picked up all the books on Wednesday, so I already, took a peek. And I was like, okay, this is probably going to be a really, really good book if it's already voted number 2. And on top of that, I was like, okay, it probably lines up what people are thinking that it's about. But for me, I was like, it's not. And now looking at the score, I was like, how is this voted number 2 if it's only a 3.7? That seems really, really low. So I was surprised kind of across the board there. But the book here, we have Silver Surfer. He basically looks like he's in his doom and gloom phase of, I'm the Herald to Galactus. All these people are dying, and I'm basically the one to let them know that they're going to be dying. I can't do anything about it, and I'm the first person to let them know. So a bit of a tortured soul in that sense, because he can't do anything about it, and he's trapped in this position. Okay. On Earth, we have Bane, which is, I guess, a subsidiary of S.H.I.E.L.D. and S.W.O.R.D. and all that. We have this elite agent part of Bane, B-A-N. and it's now controlled by Eagle Corp, which is this crazy, huge mega corporation that cares only about profits, all the terrible things about capitalism. That's what they represent. And so this company bought Bane, and they hired specifically the head number one agents, Kelly Coe. And like, you're the best. We need to find a new way to generate revenue. We were thinking about how do we take advantage of, either superheroes or freaks or mutants. None of that's going to work. But what we think is going to work is aliens. So what we need you to do is go and hunt an alien, and in particular, the Silver Surfer. So that is what she's tasked with, and she ponders it for a little bit. She's like, hey, if this is the task and this is the mission, that's what I'm going to do. So she goes out and she basically decides, okay, I'm going to immediately confront him, goes to attack, and Silver Surfer like blasts her from the sky to the ground. She's got like jetpacks on and wipes her out almost immediately, and then takes her back. The base is set like in space and has her like in her room, in her barracks, in her bed, as though nothing happened with her mom there. And it's like this crazy thing of like, you attacked the Silver Surfer and completely knocked you out, didn't kill you, and just put you right back where you are. And so Kelly is the number one recruit, right? Number one in her class, magna cum laude or summa cum laude, like the top honors. And this is what happens to her. Just put on her ass and like can't explain it. And so the head of the corporation is like, hey, well, we got a new assignment for you because you clearly can't do Silver Surfer. So we'll get you to go after Scar, which is like Hulk's son. And he's like, no. I don't want to do that. I want Silver Surfer. And so she decides to be persistent, and she's going to go after him. And that's basically the cliffhanger. So interesting book, like weird take. I didn't surprise or expect it at all. It is Pack, who is the same writer of Planet Hulk, which makes a lot of sense with the tie-in to Hulk, right? That's like the best work that they put together. So that makes a lot of sense to me. But for this, I don't know why, looking at the cover, I didn't expect it. Maybe if I would have read the overview, it would have been something more along the lines, but it's called Death of the Silver Surfer. And we just have like pretty much a squash that takes place in the first issue. So with that, let's go ahead and flip over to the actual art itself. The art is phenomenal. Obviously, I already told you it's the cover of the week. I think the book is worth picking up just on the cover art alone, in my opinion. But the art here is a step up for sure. It's pretty awesome stuff that you have. High detail and saturation, a lot of like really good splash pages showing the destruction of like Galactus taking over and like how terrifying that is. And then when you get into Kelly and her whole role of being like this agent, show a lot of action scenes as well. It's not just like the dialogue and the conversation, but here you can see the head of the corporation basically talking about the assignment that he has for her and when she accepts. And this is when Silver Surfer confronts her. Big blast that basically knocks her out. And then sure enough, she is sent right on back to her home. Silver Surfer just drops her off there as though nothing even happened. They didn't even realize that he was in there. And then we have Galactus kind of looming in the background. So it's an interesting book. I gave it a 4, mostly on the art itself. It picks it up. The comic isn't bad. We'll have to see where they decide to go with it. Is it just constantly Kelly slamming her head into the wall each issue? I don't know, potentially. And if so, I'd be a little disappointed, but maybe something else will spark a little bit more interest moving forward. Maybe Galactus is brought in a lot sooner. Tough to tell. It is a number one. Obviously, it's the time to jump in, but I don't know if I full-heartedly recommend other than just the cover. Is basically it. So that's Death of Silver Surfer number 1. And then next up here we have World Tree number 15. This was better than I expected because I was thinking here, if we are staying in this future realm of World Tree, which is what we have been last issue, and I was hoping that we'd go back, but I like where we went in this one, where we're still in the far future, but we're explaining some more things that have been left unanswered earlier in the series. So in issue 15, we pick up, it is Yoshi, who's one of the original crew that discovered the World Tree Undernet and we have who's revealed in this one. It's Ellison, and Ellison is like from issue 1, the brother of the kid that went around killing and basically started this whole epidemic that then spread. It's now the apocalypse. And if you don't recall, the premise of this is you look onto this website in the underweb and it basically mind controls you and you go crazy and you start killing people and you think that that's like the right thing to do. And then you try convincing other people that we all need to like kill people as well. So it's almost like that Sandra Bullock thing of like some people can like look at these aliens. It was the one where like you couldn't talk or you had to be silent the whole time. I can't remember. I feel like it was like a pandemic movie that everyone talked about. But you could look at the thing, and if you did, you either like killed yourself immediately, or some people could look at the thing and then they would end up like killing a whole bunch of people. Bird Box, maybe something like that. It's a similar kind of premise and concept there. Whereas if you look at it, you become possessed, and that's all you want to do. And issue 14 and 15 is like they have taken over. The world is all apocalyptic, and it is years and years and years later, like decades later. And so Ellison and Yoshi are meeting in Yoshi's little hideout that he has going here. It's like a little community, and they're trying to rebuild the internet. So they're watching a whole bunch of like cartoons and stuff from back in the day. And Ellison is like, Gabriel sent me a video, and he sent that to a couple of people if he were to die. Gabriel is the brother of Sam, who's on the cover that you're looking at right here. I should flip to the main cam now that we're actually going into it. I should say the score too. I gave this one a 4. Lee gave it a 4.2. For this issue, Ellison is like, hey, Gabriel gave me this movie. Here's what it is. And if he were to die, he sent out a bunch of these tapes out to people. Here's what we need to do in order to stop this from happening. So he's like, Ellison, I don't even know you, but I have a feeling you're going to get wrapped up into this some way, some shape, and form because of what your brother did. Here's what you need to do. And if we've gotten to the point where the previous video that I sent out hasn't worked and you're looking at this now, then the world is basically screwed. And we're in an apocalyptic stage. And so now here are some sets of instructions of how you could potentially not save the world because it's already doomed, but provide some hope out there that we can pivot from here. So there's a whole bunch of tapes with like psychiatrists and doctors for Sam, because she looked at this website for an extended period of time without anyone catching her seeing it. So she was in there for so long that her brain is done so. There's no coming back from it. It's almost like a Dementor, right, where they're like sucking your soul from Harry Potter after a while. If you have like some chocolate or some good upbeat music, like you come out of it and you're okay, and it's a bit of a hangover. She stared at it so long that she's gone beyond the edge and she can't not be returned. And so sure enough, she went and killed someone, and then they put her into the psych ward. But when they put her in the psych ward, someone else was aware of this world tree as well and wanted her to be in the psych ward but not actually report it to the police. And there's a whole bunch of these videos, and they want to basically compile it and piece it together and see what exactly happened to Sam. How did she even get out of the psych ward in the first place? And then, create this second wave of killing that then created, the apocalyptic setting. So Ellison's like, based on what Gabriel told me, we can put together the videos. Yoshi, you have the videos, everything that's compiled here. Let's just get a group of us. We'll all stay focused and compile it all, and then we can put it out there onto the web for people to know. It's been decades, right? So there are people that are born in this time that have zero idea of what exactly happened, and we can put it out there and they can understand this is what's going on, and potentially we can figure out a way how to stop it. So that's kind of the whole goal. And that's the issue. It's a big setup issue on here's what we're doing for this volume, basically. So 14 was the start. 15 is like issue 2 of the volume. And now we have an understanding of where the plot is going to advance. So that's what I liked about the book. I was hoping that we'd go back to, the beginning, first days of the fallout. Gabriel just recently died. They're trying to figure it all out. And there's all these blackouts throughout the world and the country. But we've gone way into the future, and I'm okay with this right now, and I'm hoping that it ends up being pretty good in the end. So I like the direction. So that's why I gave it a 4. First I saw that it was in the future. I was like, oh man, I want to go back to day 0 and all that took place there. But I like the direction that James has taken it. So that's cool. At the very end, though, so these followers of like Sam that look into this website, they then like change, and then they're able to like morph into different animals and things. So we've seen that a little bit throughout this issue and the previous one, and at the very end it looks like one of them has found where Yoshi and the whole colony of people are hiding. So that's going to factor into the next issue. So that was a cliffhanger. Let's go into the art detail here. The art is good. It's similar paneling to what they've been doing throughout. So it's a bunch of grid work. So you have, this is a 3x4, and most of it here are just like short little vignettes of those interviews, and it's Yoshi and Ellison just talking through, hey, what exactly are we doing? We have some of the kids in the colony that really look up to Yoshi, and then here are the images that you have here of like they can turn into, like here is a gorilla, and here's like it's like almost like a dog thing with like a skull, and they just like fly across all these different buildings. It's not necessarily safe for work. Definitely more of a mature book for sure. Video listeners or watchers, you can see. For the audio, and they're mostly naked is the bottom line. But yeah, now you have the conversations with Gabriel in this video that they showed as well. It's more about the storytelling, I'd say, for this issue. But you can see at the very end here, right, one of them found the lair that they're all hiding out in. So shit's about to hit the fan, basically, which is cool. Is it the time to jump in? It doesn't give you the full context. It does give you some of the context. It's tough. I'd say no. There's so much that you need to learn before you jump into this one. You'd be really lost and confused. I like World Tree a lot. It is one of those books that got me into the medium in the first place. And it's not a superhero book at all. But I can't say go and jump into this one because there's so much that you would have missed in the first 14 issues. So try to pick up the first trade. If you're into it, then catch up at that point, I'd say. So again, that's World Tree number 15. I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.2. Then next we have Absolute Batman number 9. What a freaking comic book. My goodness gracious. So this is the start of this arc with Bane, and it is so awesome. So you see Bane here on the cover. Looks massive and like crazy impressive how he's being drawn and like the scale of him. So I gave this a 4.5. Lee gave it a 4.6, which is huge, right? This book, I was so close to being a 5 for me, but it just missed a couple of things, and like I feel like I truly need to be like true conviction of a 5 in order to give it that. It was close, but not quite there. But still a phenomenal book either way. I will say it's definitely the time to jump in just from the jump. And I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. This is by far and away the book of the week. So I was part of that 43%. It's just insanely good. So we start off, it's 2 world leaders. Call it Iran and Israel, because that's very topical. Had this forever war going on. They're like, okay, we're going to set things aside. We're meeting up in a room, and we're going to put together, a peace treaty. And then Bane shows up, takes out all the security that's in the hallway, and the world leaders like shook hands. They open the door and they see all this blood coming underneath. And then Bane shows up, and he's like, well, the people I work for, they don't want peace. They want you guys to be fighting one another. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to kill one of you right now, and the other nation is going to take credit for it and continue the war. Who do you want it to be? And one of them is like, you can't do this. He just lost a son. And Bane just grabs him and just pops his head like it's like a grape. Like the most insane, gruesome thing. And that's just to start the freaking book. Nuts. Then you get into this splash page that just shows Bane's face, and it's just nothing but mountains of muscles behind it. This is so nuts how they drew this whole thing. Crazy, crazy, crazy. So then we get into Gotham, and Bane gets called to Gotham. And Bruce is talking with his whole cohort, right? It's all his friends, and his friends are traditionally the names of the villains that are in the normal universe. Remember, Absolute is like a dystopic universe. So Bruce, he's not rich. He's just like a blue-collar dude, and like he has a bunch of friends that he's actually interacting with that know that he's Batman, and they're trying to come up with a plan. And then Alfred for this is not his butler, of course, because he's not rich. Alfred's like a crazy international spy, and he's helping out as well. And they're trying to break into Arkham. So not Arkham as you know it, as it's traditionally spelled out. Ark, A-R-K, space, the letter M. Ark M. And it's this facility that's being set up for like a bunch of testing and things like that. And they know that something shady is happening there. There's a bunch of power that's being routed there. And they're trying to figure out the schematics on how Batman could go ahead and break in. They think it's totally crazy and lunacy and he shouldn't be doing this, but he's going to do it anyways. So he goes and he decides to go in, sneaks in through the waterway system, under through the sewage, and Alfred's like guiding him the whole way. And we get all of this like breakdown of what is about to happen to him. Alfred's like, I've been on these missions before. You just don't really know what's going to happen. You're like incredibly nervous and worried. And it could be like, you just know what you're going to get yourself into. And so Batman gets to a point where he's in the sewer and he looks down and he's like, yeah, here's the entry point. And then Alfred's like reading the schematics. Like, no. This is not what the plans say from the city. You need to go a couple more feet before you're even there. And he's like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, it's here. Like, I'm going in. And then Alfred like starts to freak out and he feels it in the pit of his stomach of like, and this is an international train spot, right? So if he's feeling the pit of the stomach, like something is up. He's like, oh, this is where things end up going sideways. Like, you need to back out and you need to leave. But Batman looks over and it is like this huge, colossal sized facility that is there. Don't have a damn clue as to what it is. My guess and assumption is that this is where the Venom is being manufactured, but I don't really know. So he goes and he jumps down, and when he jumps down, his comms don't work. And so Alfred's trying to call to him, but he can't. And he's basically going through this whole soliloquy of like, something bad and terrible is about to happen, and like he should have warned him that goes beyond anything in Gotham. This is like an not intergalactic, but like worldwide war that has taken place, and this is just a small, tiny little footnote that somehow Batman is getting himself into. And as he goes deeper and deeper into this thing, like I was like genuinely getting nervous. It was like Snyder did a phenomenal job of like, what the hell is going to happen here? Like, when is he going to run into Bane? And sure enough, he runs into Bane. Batman tries to fight him, and he's trying all these different moves, and Bane immediately recognizes the martial arts style and like hits him in a pressure point. So boom, hits him in the arm. Then he hits him in the other arm. Then he hits him in the leg. And then Batman basically goes, is like, wait, so you're some just juice jub musclehead trying to take me out? It's like, I'm not even using this juice. Do you want to see what it's like? And then he like injects himself with it or whatever. And he picks up Batman by the throat and like holds him. Bane is like, I don't know, 11 feet tall and just holding Batman up like in this vice grip. And he's like, all right, time to prep you for surgery. And that's the end. Mind blowing. Gotta get this book. It's so good. The cover is incredible. Comic of the week. It's just, man. So good. I can't even. I'm thinking like it's a 5, but like the way that we talked with like Alfred, like that went on for quite a while, so that's the only thing that holds it back. So here we go. We have these conversations. It's the world leader, right? They got all this blood that's underneath, and then Bane shows himself, and it's like, yep, this is how it's gonna go. Literally pops the guy's head like it's freaking nothing, and then Bane gets summoned over to Gotham. And then look at this splash page. Like, what are we talking? That's his head. Like, what are these are all just muscles is the way that this is all drawn. Crazy. I was like, man, we are in for one here. And so, sure enough, it's like all leading up to the plan of like how we're going to break into Arkham. We got some other, side plots here of Martha, who's Bruce's mother, like looking to potentially run for office. We have Officer Gordon as well. We have Bruce with Killer Croc, who's like gets into this UFC fight basically, and he gets an opportunity to do that. So that's how we learn that he knows all of these moves. And then finally we get into like the crux of the comic, right? It's just him going through into Arkham, and then here's like the facility, right? So it just goes way deeper and way more vast than he ever could have imagined. And then this is the part where Alfred's basically his whole soliloquy of like, things are about to go sour. What the hell are you going to be able to do? Runs into Bane here, right? And then just boom, the pressure points into each and every single spot, and he's just Batman way outmatched. Nothing that he can do. He's like, you want to see me use this stuff? Goes into the veins, the muscles, and just freaking tweaking out here, man. So incredibly cool. And then at the end, like, look at that. Just let that hang. Are you kidding me? Audio listeners, I'm sorry. You got to get on video for this one. Check it out. YouTube.com, Saturday Morning Comic Review. My goodness gracious. Just a beast, man. Just a beast. Whew. And then you got a little crypto preview after this. I was like, man, way to change up the tone. But, man, absolute Batman number 9. Definitely 4.5 for sure. I mean, it could have led to a 5, but I really need to feel it in my bones. And I just didn't feel it in my bones for this issue. But you got as close as you possibly could without being a 5. So I've only given out like 2 or 3 of those this year. So, which is good. It should be rare. It should be like 1 a quarter. It should be very rare. So yeah, obviously, I recommend this. Alrighty, next up here, New Champions, number 6. So from one green book to the next, I gave this a 4. Lee gave it a 3.9. It's a great follow-up from the previous issue that we had here. I'll say for this book, we get Avengers cameo on this one, which is sweet. So you have pretty much everyone: Wanda, Captain America, Vision, Black Panther, Captain Marvel, and Iron Man as well. And then you get an appearance from Moon Knight too, but picks up immediately where we left off, where we had it was Monty, that's his name, and Liberty were taken away, and we don't know where they went. So they were fighting some sort of magician, but those two like vanished, and trying to figure out where they went. But we find that it was Magnetrix who took them, who's basically our main baddie here, and she's effectively teenage Magneto. And we learn her whole backstory. She was a pet project of Hydra, an experiment, and they basically tortured her and used her as a weapon. And she got to a point where she almost broke free, but when she broke free, she only was now conscious of what she was doing, but still couldn't break free of the orders that Hydra was giving. So if you can imagine that, like, you're just aware of all the terrible atrocities that you're committing, but you can't do anything about it. So she's all screwed up in the head, and she's like, yeah, that's what happened. And then in order to try to forget all that stuff, whatever she did to break free, she kept trying to do to her head but it kept scrambling her head. So, basically a form of self-medicating. So she's all messed up emotionally and psychologically to not be able to process exactly what is going on and how she's going about doing things, and why behind it as well. So truly a tortured character. But nonetheless, they find the New Champions and Avengers where Liberty and Monty are at. Now, Monty's actually Magnetrix's boyfriend, so he's got a whole different host of issues that he's got going on. But Liberty is the one that's actually captured, and they're using her ability to fuel this bomb that they're going to set off in Times Square. So they realize, based on the energy signatures, the Avengers and the New Champions, that it's in Times Square. So when they arrive there, Magnetrix was ready for them. She released someone from the raft, which is like a super scroll, so able to copy a whole bunch of abilities. And then the Avengers and New Champions had their hands full basically the whole time trying to fight, but they're able to get the upper hand. It's actually mostly Moon Knight who's able to get the upper hand there. So the super scroll sets out an EMP and the whole city goes on blackout, but that helps out a lot for Moon Knight. And so he comes in, he's like, okay, easy peasy. So got the super scroll down that allows them to focus on Magnetrix, and Liberty is actually able to get out. They are falling from a tall building. Avengers and New Champions swoop in. They're able to stop them. They break it all apart. Everyone kind of lives happily ever after. Now, the cliffhanger at the end here is Hellrune, who was part of the first couple of issues and is now working on her magical abilities and training with her aunt, comes to find out that her aunt is not actually who she says she is and seems like she's a little bit evil. She's able to finally contact the New Champions. They're going to go out there and deal with her. So, yeah, that was the book. A wrap-up of, the previous week, and then now we kind of get into some of the stuff that we were dealing with earlier in the run, which is good. Is it time to jump in? You'd be fine if you jumped in here, but at the same time, you're going to miss a lot of the stuff, but you don't need a lot of the stuff to get you here. Like, this is one, if you were brand new to comic books and you just came off the street, all right, excuse me, and you were like, this cover looks cool, and you just grabbed it, you'd be 100% fine. And this would actually be a good test of, like, do I like this or not? It would be a perfect example of that, because you have enough context and detail that The story works out pretty fine. The story is a 4, right? And that's what I gave it. Lee gave it a 3.9. That is, for my scale anyways, that's pretty much right down the middle. That is a good book, and you'd be able to understand, is this for me or not? Like a quintessential comic is what this is. So, yeah, that being said, maybe pick it up, maybe don't. I've been enjoying the series. League has been a little bit lower than I have, so take my opinion with a grain of salt on that. But yeah, let's go check out this art. Pretty standard here, I'd say, for Marvel stuff. Nothing too crazy. Maybe a little higher on the saturation from the color, but at the end of the day, it's like the paneling is pretty typical, as you would imagine. A little bit of like a Miles Morales influence, but not too much, because you do have scenes that are not as actiony, whereas Miles seems to be all action all the time. But yeah, I've been enjoying it. So that's New Champions number 6 again. I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 3.9. Then we have One World Under Doom number 5. Been enjoying this book a lot. I gave this a 4. League also gave it a 3.9. So very similar boat here. For this book, we are wrapping up the Dormammu demon arc. So he comes to Earth as Doom has the eye of, what is it? Agamotto? I think that's how it's pronounced. And Doom is also Sorcerer Supreme. He doesn't like that. Feels like he's wielding it wrong, and Dormammu is basically the main big bad of Doctor Strange anyways, and the Sorcerer Supreme. So they're fighting on Earth. Previous issue, Doom seemed like he was down and out by himself. All the other heroes, Avengers, X-Men, Fantastic Four, were locked in some sort of dimension far away. Doom was able to summon them all in. Now they're all fighting for Doom. So this issue, the fight is on. As you can tell by the cover, it's Doom in the middle, and all the Avengers are surrounding him as well. Pretty cool, pretty dope cover. The fact that you have Doom leading the charge, and they're able to defeat Dormammu, but it's almost with like a catch. So the Scarlet Witch severs the tie of Dormammu to his reality. So by doing that, he's basically stuck on Earth, but they decide for whatever reason that that's the right thing to do. Then Doom uses some sort of spell that banishes him back to his realm. But because you severed the tie, it needs to tie to something, basically. That's how magic works. And so Doom was like, I did. He's tied to this Earth. Meaning, and there's like a caveat to it. And the caveat is, as long as Doom is Sorcerer Supreme and Emperor of the World, or at least Emperor of the World, I think is what they said, because there may be something that comes further down the line that they change up the wording. But as long as he's Emperor of the World, Dormammu will not come back. So that's kind of the gotcha. So, okay, they save the day. Everyone's happy. Citizens are happy. You do have that kind of caveat there of, okay, now we kind of need Doom to stay Sorcerer Supreme. Otherwise, then we're going to have to deal with this incredibly Omega level threat demon on Earth who's like, he'll immediately come back. So that's always looming over their head. But like I said, the citizens love him. The ratings have only gone up. Everyone's got healthcare, everyone's got education, there are no wars. Things are how you would hope they would be in some sort of utopian sense. And they've done all the research to try to figure out, is he coercing people? Are these world leaders doom bots? But no, this is all legit. This is what the world leaders wanted. So now Thor steps in and is like, have we ever just considered that maybe it's good that Doom is the leader of Midgard, whereas Odin has been the leader of Asgard? Now, Odin hasn't been perfect, but overall, he's been the best leader that Asgard has had, and he's ruled for many years and millennia and generations, and it's pretty much worked out. Maybe the same could happen on Earth. You know, things to consider, basically. And Tony is like adamant of like, okay, I considered it, but no, it's Doom. He's up to something. We just haven't figured it out yet. And so no way am I going to allow this. Squirrel Girl is there. She's under the same opinion. So they squabble back and forth. It doesn't get to a fight. But, you know, Thor is like, just something to consider. I mean, we've tested everything at this point, and there's nothing we can get him on. And as they're talking, at the very end of the book, Maria Hill shows up, and she's part of S.H.I.E.L.D., and she's like, hey, I know what Doom is doing. We know exactly how to stop him. We know where we need to go. and we need all of you to help out. And she's like, comes back, she's got a bad arm and a sling, and she looks like she's been, roughed up. Wherever she came from, we don't know what exactly is going on or what happened. So they did say that the SHIELD HQ, the building, did fall, but there are like no casualties. So maybe she was part of that, or if she came in from a different dimension. No idea. But that is the cliffhanger that we're left off on. And so, of course, Doom is up to some shenanigans, and we're finally going to get that reveal in issue 6. The annoying thing at the end is they're like, it is going to be 2 months away. And I was like, oh, I want it now. Because it was a good book. The art on this is excellent too. Let's go ahead and take a look there. Lots of action, as you can imagine. Awesome splash that you have of Doom right to start there. But yeah, you just have, incredible action scene here. Avengers, X-Men, and Fantastic Four all attacking Dormammu at the same time. And I'd say the first quarter of the book is that fight, and here's where he's being banished back to his realm, and they come to the realization of what Doom exactly did. But we have some newscasters basically talking about, hey, like, we like him a lot, so we really shouldn't have to worry about him not being in power and Dormammu coming back because we like him. This is cleaning up the rubble, where they realize no fatalities, and then the argument that goes back and forth, the comparison to Odin up top there, and that with Iron Man saying, hey, he's still Doom in the end, and then finally the reveal, Maria Hill, and it's like, hey, I know, or we know, and have an idea of how to stop him, where we need to stop him, but it's going to take everyone to do so. So we'll see where that all leads. Boom. One World Under Doom, number 5. I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 3.9. Then next up here, Resurrection Man, Quantum Karma, book number 3. Now this one, man, I am shocked Lee gave it the score that they did. So Lee gave it a 4.6. I gave it a 4. This is another one of those books where I feel like, am I stupid? Like, do I just not understand? I am reading this and I'm like, I can barely follow along here. It's a Ram V joint, and he's going into like his poetic Duffy real deep on this one. I'm just like reading through it. I like have to reread the stuff like a couple of times to understand what exactly he's saying. I got some of the gist of the main plot, but for the B plot, I don't really understand what is happening here. So this is Resurrection Man and his brother. They're fighting somehow. I didn't know he had a brother, and it seemed like he came out of nowhere, and I don't understand what the fighting is about. So I'll just put that on the table. I don't understand that. And that's certainly what brought it down for me quite a bit. The other piece is Resurrection Man, I guess, falls in love with a woman, claims that he loves her. She is working on some crazy project that it deals with, like, micro universes, and it's been trying to figure it out for years and years and years and years, if not decades. And finally gets to a place where she figures it out and then makes it work. And when she does, Resurrection Man betrays her, goes to where that lab is, steals it, and I think he dies, like either putting his hand in it or interacting with it some way, shape, or form. And now he has the ability of like this micro universe. So he betrayed the one love of his life. So I get it, like a tortured soul type deal, or a tortured relationship, or, you know, going through this whole thing of someone that you said that you love. You have this crazy long relationship, and that's what you do to them. So that was supposed to weigh pretty heavy on us as a reader, and it did a little bit. But I'm reading through it, and I'm like, I just don't understand, man. Like, you're too poetic with it. You're using like this crazy abstract verbiage, and you're not just like letting me read along and understand the journey that we're doing here. So it just didn't work for me, unfortunately. The art, though, is nuts. Art is out of this world. So let's just go ahead and jump into that. It's difficult to explain, but you just have a bunch of like unique paneling. The color is fine. I mean, it's more of like a water paint style. If you're reading New Gods, it's a very similar art style to that, but it's like very fantastical, over the top. Great detail that you have as well. Not so much on like the saturation piece, because it's more of like that water paint, but the way that they have the paneling is excellent too. It's just, then they'll have like interactions where it's like a letter from her father that she referred back to, but then it's like interdimensional stuff as well too. I can't do it justice, audio listeners. Like I really cannot. You just have to go and look at what this is. It's nuts. So the art is A++ for sure, and that does help it. But the writing is, I'm just so confused, and it's not even like exposition as far as like world building. It's just confusing. It's poetry that I'm reading, and I'm like, I don't understand exactly what's going on, and especially when you got to the part with the brother and everything too. I'm like, I don't even know what they're fighting over. So it's just way over my head. But yeah, it's pretty to look at. It is pretty to look at. So that's Resurrection Man number 3. Do I recommend it? No. You got to start with 1, and even here I'm so lost. It's like I don't even know what I'd be recommending to you, to be honest. I'm going to stick with it, though. I think you only have a couple more for this one. So next up here we have Green Lantern Corp number 5. This one's more my speed. Pretty simple book that you have here. You have League. I gave it a 4. League gave it a 3.6. I can see why League did, because it is pretty simplistic. We follow up exactly where we were before. We have 4 lanterns out there. 2 of them, one is a mentor and a trainee, and the other 2 are like we're on like a birthday run. So the birthday run, it's a girl and a guy. They end up in this mind maze. So they got to work their way out of the maze. They're able to, in the end, and escape pretty easily. There is a section there where they're in the mind maze, and the girl is recalling a terrible time where she was interacting with her dying grandmother, and like, oh, I should have done something to help. And the other guy is like, we're in the mind maze. You already told me none of this stuff is real, like a page or 2 before, and now suddenly you're getting caught up by it. So that was really silly and dumb. It's like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, you said this. How are you now falling into this trap when you already mentioned it before? And then for the cadet and the mentor, they call this like golden cabbie to get away from this bad guy with like this death ray basically. And it's pretty cool. This cab like flies intergalactically when you like hail it with this like coin from anywhere in the galaxy that he is, and he's like there almost immediately, like the fastest Uber of your life. And then they hop in, and the cadet, he's like a cub lion, and he's like, all right, shut up, I'm gonna finally show you who I am. And he like rips open this thing, and he turns out to be like this massive hulked out lion that goes and attacks as they're being pursued by the cab. So they destroy, the people that are after them. They get back into the cab, circle around, they grab the folks that are in the mind maze, and they all escape. They all live happily ever after. So there's nothing too crazy about the story here, but nonetheless, I did enjoy it. The art here is excellent. Top tier stuff, I'd say, from DC overall, from just the explosions, and this all takes place on like a dead Starro. So there's a lot of like the different guts and bile that they're going through like the intestines and things like that of this dead Starro, which is pretty cool. You have them in the cabbie and all the different explosions and the lasers and the fighting, the back and forth. I don't know. It's just a fun little adventure. Turn off your brain, read it. The day in the life of space cops that are the Green Lantern Corp. So, yeah, that was pretty cool. I gave it, again, a 4. Lee gave it a 3.6. I could see them being down on it. Is it the time to jump in? I don't think for this one. I think it's, at least you need the previous issue, so number 4, to understand that story at all. And then the first couple, not that they're fully connected, so I think actually you'd be fine, because I'm trying to think, 4 was like totally different cast of characters, and it looks like the next one's probably going to be a different cast of characters as well. But anyways, next up here we have Ultimate X-Men number 16, and again, this one I'm thinking about dropping, just because we're at the point where things are like really confusing. It's not really weaving into the maker stuff at all, and I'm kind of just over it, to be honest with you. I love Peach Momoko's art style, but every time I come up on this review for this book, I'm like, where do I even begin to try to catch you up? So we have, and for the score, I gave it a 4, Lee gave it a 4.2. So we have the House of the Atom, which are a bunch of mutants, and it's not Nico, or it is Nico, I think. Let me just refer back to the notes. I feel like I always have to go back to notes for this one. Yeah, it's Nico who's infiltrated the house of Adam, trying to figure out where some of their friends are. And Armor is in here. So she sneaks in. She does find Armor, but Armor's under like some sort of spell. And so like Nico's trying to talk to her, and Armor just like walks away to a different room. As she walks to that room, the head maester like shows up. It's like, you're not supposed to be here, and you don't look familiar. I know all of my children. And one of the other girls comes up who's not been involved in the story at all. It's Surge, if you're familiar with the X-Men at all. She's like, oh yeah, she's new. We just found her. We just brought her in. We're going to get her all like set up. And she's like, okay, well, you can't come, this way. The maester says that. So Surge brings her back, and Surge is very clear with it. It's like, hey, we're on to you. We think that you're trying to infiltrate some way, somehow. You're lucky I just saved you there. But if you do anything again, like, I'm just going to take you out. And so Surge just like lays it out to her. So, of course, Nico only half listens, and then a little bit later, she gets on the phone. She looks like she's sneaking out again. Surge recognizes it and just attacks her. So they just have this fight going back and forth, basically. So that takes place. While that all happens, the other group that's trying to find May, I think they're looking for, May finally reaches out. So she reaches out, and then it's like Psylocke's brother, Psylocke's like ex-girlfriend, and this other girl. They're all like, okay, we can finally go off and we can find May. That's basically it. That's all that happens and takes place during this issue. So that's why I was like, you know what? We can just stop it. We've had a good run. Things were fun. It was fine. I do enjoy her art style. But if we're looking to shed some fat, this I think would be a good place to start. So, but with that, let's go into the art here. It's still the same Peach that you would come to expect, right? So it's a very distinct art style that she has. It's straight up watercolor style, and everything is done kind of with like an anime influence to a certain extent, but like a westernized version of it. Once you see her stuff, it's so distinctively hers. As I've talked about from week to week. So audio listeners, just imagine her artwork, and that's what you got here. But for the actual video, you can see here, this is the fight that they had with Surge and Nico going back and forth, which will look pretty cool. And then I think towards the end here is where you have those text messages that come through. Yeah, they get the text there, and they all hop into the car, and they're about to head on out. So, yeah, that's Ultimate X-Men number 16. Again, I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.2. I think I'll probably get another one before that completely ends. And then speaking of another one we're stopping is going to be Ultimate Black Panther number 17. So this one I gave a 4 as well. And Lee gave it a 4.1. This one is interesting because we don't follow up on the story that we have been following, which has been T'Challa and Storm going after like corrupt vibranium that's like taking over the land. This goes back to the kingdom of Wakanda, and it's Killmonger and Okoye running things right now. And while they do that, there's some trouble in a nearby mine. It's not like on Wakanda property, but it's pretty close by. So they go, they support it, great. Then when they come back, and I thought Okoye was with T'Challa. I guess she's not, because she was like flirting with Killmonger. Otherwise, that could lead to some stuff, which seems kind of weird and awkward. But Killmonger, T'Challa said, like, I can only trust a couple of people. So it's Storm, it's the Sorcerer Supreme. In this one, it is Okoye, and it's Killmonger. So he left Okoye and Killmonger to see over everything, but Killmonger is not from there, so he only feels like he's kind of a guest. And so Okoye is like asking his opinion about stuff, and he's like, hey, I'll just kind of side with whatever you say. But Okoye is like, no, our king said that you're in charge just as much as I am. And as that conversation is happening, the Voodoo Khan show up. And the Voodoo Khan is like a sub-tribe within Wakanda, and they view this as their opportunity to take over because Black Panther's not here, and they know that. And so Okoye and Killmonger, they defend as much as they can, and it looks like they're going to get overrun. But then the Sorcerer Supreme shows up, she helps out, and that they're able to push the Voodoo Khan away. And so Killmonger then is like, okay, I realize now, like, Wakanda is falling to, civil unrest and needs me to step up, so I will be the acting king for now. Which is cool, because that's going to be a problem further down the line. It is basically setting up that it's going to be an issue. So let's go into the art. Art has always been really, really good on this one. And it's not so much about the story as it is about the detail on like all the different outfits and things like that. The fighting has been pretty good too. But yeah, here you basically have Okoye and Killmonger, the Machelet, having their conversations with them. They go and fight off this mine. So they do that pretty much no problem. And then they start having the conversations about the kingdom itself. Here we have the Voodoo Khan coming in and attacking, and it's not looking good for them until the Sorceress Supreme shows up here. Boom. Hold on. And is able to dispatch the Voodoo Khan, and Killmonger's like, yep, I'm going to be on the throne, and I will be the new king for the time being. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. It's not going to end well. I can imagine. Maybe I'll be here for it, maybe not. Again, I stopped it, so we'll probably get 18, but I think that might be it. But we'll land on a higher note here, at least from epicness. We'll do Transformers number 21. So I gave this a 4.5. Lee gave it a 4.4. Excellent book that we had here. So the story is Megatron is back. Megatron, they're on the offensive. The Decepticons pushing on the Autobots. So they have them pinned down at the Ark, which is basically a ship that they had previously crash landed onto Earth. And they're running some diagnostics, the Autobots are, on Optimus Prime. So he's had these corrupt visions where suddenly he'll have like a PTSD moment basically, and then start shooting at random things that are causing extreme collateral damage. Like he shot a dam, all the water came rushing out and threatened the city. I don't think he shot at any of his allies yet, but he's losing it, right? So that's not good. And when running the diagnostics, they basically figure it out. It's the arm, some way, somehow, is corrupting Optimus. So as all this takes place back on Cybertron, the Warriors and the Autobots there are trying to figure out how they can get back to Earth. They found out a way, but they don't have enough of the Energon to get everyone there, so they can only send one person. So they try to basically figure that out, and they realize it's going to be the new Autobot that they created from a whole bunch of other, ashes, if you will, or sparklings of other fallen Autobots. It's like the main warrior, the new fresh blood that they're going to send back. The other Autobot that was captured by the humans, he's being tortured now. So basically that's, you can see, is going to factor in the story of some way, somehow, if he's going to turn against humans and be part of the Decepticons, or like they're going to have to turn him back. That'll come later down the line. But most of this book is the Decepticons pushing forward. They have them all pinned down. The Autobots come out of the Ark, they start fighting. The Ark starts to disappear, and I think that has to do with what was happening on Cybertron and trying to send the new, the reinforcements back. So maybe they had to pull the Ark back, load him on there, and then send it back forward. I can't remember how they explained it. But as they're fighting, and they come to the realization that it's the arm for Optimus Prime. He's trying to rip off his arm, like literally, but he can't do it because it's like fused to him, and it's not even reacting to where he can take it off. So he tells his other Autobots to shoot it off. Like, you can't be serious. He's like, yes, shoot off my arm so this corruption stops. So they shoot multiple times at Optimus until his arm eventually falls off. Crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. And so with that, Megatron then sees this and is like, you fool, Optimus. He swoops in, he grabs the arm. And remember, he can turn into like this like gun hand cannon thing, and he fuses it to himself to where now he has this hand cannon, but it's with this crazy blaster at the end of it. And the Autobots, now again in full retreat mode, they link up with the aerial bots who come in for the save, and they kind of fuse into like this huge thing. So all the other Autobots get onto this huge fused together aerial bot, are flying off. Then Megatron turns into that hand cannon again. I think he goes into Starscream's hand one more time, shoots up, and it hits this aerial bot. One of them like falls off, and I think it's two of them are like completely dead, like they're gone. And then the Autobots are barely able to get away. Crazy, crazy book. Absolutely nuts. I've been enjoying the stuff so much. The Energon universe is incredible, and then the Transformers has just been so incredibly good. So, yeah. This is the artwork that you can see here that we have going on. And the artwork here is kind of the standard Transformer stuff that you've been seeing. And so when they're repairing Optimus on the arc here, you can see like the different interconnected on the Allspark and everything they're doing there as far as like the detail, and then the blasting, the shooting that's going on there. It's just a really well designed book with all the fighting that's going on. So yeah, that is Transformers. Oh, I think, where is the section here where we have, oh, boom, where the arm comes off and Optimus, like, dude, what a badass, right? Like, just insane. Megatron picks it up, shoots the gun, goes and shoots the blast at the top here. Arm comes off, the guy's like dead on the ground, and they just have to full on retreat. Like, crazy. So yeah, that is Transformers number 21. Again, I gave it a 4.5. Lee gave it a 4.4. Is it the time to jump in on that one? No, I think you probably got to go back a couple issues, to be honest. I think if you go back maybe to, I think it's like 18 or so, where Megatron is actually introduced, and then if you go forward from there, I think you'd be good. But it wouldn't be terrible if you jumped in at this one. It wouldn't be terrible. So I think that might actually be fine. So yeah, that is all the books that we reviewed. Let's now go into the polls for next week. So we are locked and loaded with an appropriate amount this time. Thank goodness gracious. Got it up on the screen. 11. Perfect. We can do 11. So I'm trying to think here. We only have a couple of backlogs here. So let's see. We have Absolute Flash number 4, Avengers number 27, Bug Wars number 5. I think there's only one more after this. Man, I've been loving Bug Wars so much. Exquisite Corpses number 2. Hell yes. Exquisite Corpses. I haven't, so, relatively new as far as like the content generation piece of doing the comics, and still relatively new to comics like overall. But Exquisite Corpses is the most buzz that I've seen for an independent comic since I've been doing this. Maybe like, and you can't even count Transformers because that's also Image, but obviously it's a storied franchise. So highly recommend that. Then G.I. Joe number 8, Iron Man number 9, New Gods number 7, The Ultimates 13. Been loving the Ultimates. Definitely keeping that for the Ultimate Universe. That's like kind of like the main story, if you will. So keeping Ultimate Spider-Man, of course. West Coast Avengers number 8. Been enjoying that. X-Men number 18 is going to be a backlog. And then Zatanna number 5. I'm pretty sure that's the last of that one. Let's actually check real quick. Oh, no, we got one more. Then 6 will be the last for that one. So, yeah, those are the polls. A very appropriate number. Hopefully it kind of stays that way. We'll just have to wait and see. So, yeah. Before we wrap up, I think one thing I missed is just going through the books one more time, just so you see in order what we have here. So I'll just close it out by saying that. We'll do the social media stuff, and we'll call it an episode. So we have Death of the Silver Surfer, number 1. Then we have World Tree, number 15. Absolute Batman, number 9. New Champions, number 6. One World Under Doom, number 5. Resurrection Man, Quantum Karma, number 3. Green Lantern Corps, number 5. Ultimate X-Men, number 16. Ultimate Black Panther, number 17. Transformers, number 21. So, those are the 10 books. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you so much. Saturday Morning Comic Review, available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Try to post every Saturday at 10 a.m. We'll do an Omega run as well, usually once a week, and those will be like backlog items or things that I didn't get to from the current week. Saturday Morning CBreview at gmail.com if you want to send an email. Tips, tricks, thoughts on the content, things you want to see, things you don't want to see, things that are annoying, things that would help make the podcast better, feel free to send a note there, and I will check it out. Instagram is Saturday Morning Comic Review. TikTok is Helpful Bailiff. All this stuff is in the description anyways. So, feel free to go and check all that stuff out. I think with that, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Thanks again so much for tuning in, and I will see you guys in the next one.
Go, 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 go.
This has been a DMW production. Thanks for stopping by.